Friendo, Steve here.
Yeah, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. WWE Backlash from Puerto Rico is in the books. A wildly fun show, thanks largely to a wildly fun crowd. An awesome Bad Bunny performance, which was just an absolutely overbooked masterpiece. His street fight with Damian Priest.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna talk about all that stuff. I want to say thanks to everybody for hanging out with us today for the show. A lot of fun to do this. Of course, wrestling is always better with friends. Larson, what's the first thing you want to talk about when it comes to Backlash 2023?
I want to talk predictions. We got a 4-way tie for top score.
Okay, we could do that.
Including this guy.
Okay, so
yeah.
You got a 4-way tie, is that what it is?
Yeah, it'd be a 4-way tie.
All right, well, congratulations. You and 3 other friendos, including CD5 and 2 other people, get to go into the final weekend of the month, I believe, for the Big Red predictions with a 1-point advantage. That could be the difference.
Could be all.
That could make the difference. But let's talk about Backlash. We'll talk about the other stuff later. Let's talk about Backlash. What do you want to start with?
Shoot, where to start? There was a
Cody,
lot.
let's do Cody. The main event. Let's start with the main event.
All right, let's start with the main event. So Cody, one critique that I had, and I've seen it elsewhere.
Tons of people had this critique.
Cody's road to WrestleMania from Rumble onwards, kind of easy. Not a whole lot of adversity in terms of how it related to the Bloodline story. You could bring up his booking in WWE prior to his departure in 2016. That adversity, other examples. Yeah. And that's fair, but as it related to his quest this year to get the WWE or the WWE and the Universal titles, it seemed like it was coming a little easy for him. He lost to Mania, and now it seemed like he was getting the John Cena 2012 booking. And John Cena's first opponent after losing to The Rock was Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And in that match, John Cena beat Brock Lesnar just like Cody Rhodes beat Brock Lesnar tonight in a surprisingly bloody match. And what is even more surprising, it wasn't even Cody who bled all over the place. It was Brock Lesnar who was leaving blood all over. It was all down his face. It was all down Cody's side. It was all over the mat.
Yeah. It was
He had to wipe some up with a towel at one point.
Yeah.
So, even if you just use the John Cena 2012 template, it kind of made sense for Cody to win. I guess the question is this adversity he has to overcome, is this going to extend all the way to WrestleMania next year? Is this going to be a situation by, say, SummerSlam, maybe even the Madison Square Garden show, I think in July, shortly after Money in the Bank? Are those 2 points at which Cody can then attempt to get another match against Roman for those titles? I know recently he said, he's not. He would be interested in the World Heavyweight Championship, but he wants to finish the story. He wants the WWE title. That's the title he wants.
Yeah.
And so, beating Brock, even if not in the most convincing of fashion, is a way to get himself there. Then mission accomplished tonight. Although given the finish of the match where he reversed a Kimura into a roll-up, I have a feeling that Brock's not going to be satisfied losing in such a fashion. So he's going to be out for blood himself in the coming days and weeks.
Do you think it's possible they're aiming for a trilogy with Cody and Brock? I think that would be one great way. Maybe Night of Champions, Cody takes on Brock in, a second match.
And Brock just wipes the floor with him.
Well, my thing about this match was, if this was going to be a one-off, the idea really should be Cody, he gets annihilated, and then he has to dig deep to overcome Brock Lesnar.
That's why in that sense, the finish tonight would have made sense, because it was literally like a desperation thing. Oh, I'll reverse this Kimura into a roll up to get the win. And that would have made sense if he had been utterly annihilated preceding that, but that wasn't the case.
This felt more like, I don't know. See, I don't even think Cody needs to beat Brock.
Yeah. And
tonight, it was kind of weird because the funny thing is the visual of Brock bleeding everywhere. They went through the whole, and by the way, I felt like this was the Cody Brock one, and I'm a huge Cody fan, that was probably, the idea of the adversity thing, let's just go out like more broad, right? Because I get it. I think that's what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And they're keeping the title on Roman for business reasons. But I think you could argue the case that Cody's more over now after having lost at Mania. He hasn't lost any steam. The crowd is still huge for him, and I think they will really appreciate even more when he does win. I don't think his moment's over. I don't think – I mean, you can, I guess, 2 years, 5 years from now, you can debate whether or not WrestleMania 39 was a wise move or not. But, like, the idea of adversity, they went through the standard thing in a Brock Lesnar match, which, by the way, Queen of the Ring, thanks so much for the rate. They went through the standard Brock Lesnar thing where he just does a bunch of German suplex. He took 5 German suplexes, a couple of other variations on suplexes.
Yeah.
But Brock Lesnar bleeding like a stuck pig and stumbling into 2 crossroads. And yes, I know he kicked out of them. But, like, it kind of feels like for a bit there, for like, the first 80% of this match, it was like Brock was barely surviving Cody.
Yeah, because Cody attacked him before the bell. Yeah.
And it should kind of be the other way, though. Cody should be able to gut out a win against Brock Lesnar, but definitively beat him, not with I was able to pin his shoulders.
A template they could have followed, and to tell the story in that sense, what they should have is the Daniel Bryan Brock Lesnar match, where Daniel Bryan was getting annihilated by Brock.
It was uncomfortable,
It was uncomfortable to watch, and there's a ref bump, and then Bryan hit a low blow, and then the tide turned from there. Of course, the obvious difference between that match and the match tonight was if you want Cody to win, he needed to win, as opposed to Daniel Bryan, who lost. But that was a situation where Brock just kept on dumping Daniel Bryan on his head and neck, and over and over and over and over again, and Daniel Bryan had like no recourse. He couldn't do anything until the ref bump.
I would love them to do, I think it would be appropriate because Brock this should be a big deal. Like this should be a trilogy. The next one, Brock absolutely annihilates Cody because Cody got the jump on Brock. There was the split head and blood everywhere. Yeah. And on top of that, if they turn this into a trilogy and Cody is wrapped up in Brock, you're also wrapping him up during the World Heavyweight Championship, explaining why it doesn't really matter to him.
Yes.
The next one, Brock absolutely annihilates Cody for what happened in this match. And then in the last one, you get what you're talking about, where, you know what? Cody kind of doesn't care if he has. If they do a no DQ thing, then all bets are off, and Cody can absolutely brutalize Brock within the rules or lack thereof of a no DQ match. And I think that would be, I hope they go that route because this match alone, I feel, is a little too open and shut if this is the only thing they're going to do. Yeah. And I don't know that it really accomplishes what I think WWE sees as a hunger for people to see Cody go through the ringer on his path back to Roman.
I mean, because this match tonight, if it was a one and done type deal, should have been that story in microcosm.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And there never really was a sequence. I know Brock hit like 4 German suplexes in a row and a couple other suplexes afterwards, but that's so standard in Brock matches.
At this point, it's so formulaic for Brock matches.
It is.
You're right.
So it never got to the where in the Daniel Bryan match where it was uncomfortable to watch, or it never got to the point when the John Cena match where game 16 was like, this has to end at some point.
Right. Yeah. Like
the tables have to turn at some point.
Yeah. And then
that match never did. So
That being said, I
reached
thought
either of those levels.
I thought that, all in all, I thought the end was a little bit limp, but watching Brock expertly, seemingly, bust himself open with that turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And that blood came quick and furious. Yeah. It was still a very entertaining match to watch. I do think that placement wise, Bad Bunny should have closed the show. Let's pivot to the Bad Bunny match, man.
That match was so fun.
Because as much praise as has been put on for Logan Paul for being like a really terrific celebrity wrestler, and move for move, he could very well be the greatest celebrity wrestler we've ever seen, Logan Paul. You had a really good point during the stream in that Bad Bunny seems to understand the psychology of telling stories in the ring really, really well. And I think I had a good point when I said Bad Bunny seems like he wants to be part of the universe. Yeah. And Logan Paul seems like he's there to advertise Logan Paul. And I'm not even using that as a criticism. It's just I buy into Bad Bunny more than I do Logan Paul because of that. I'm much more invested in his character, and there's also the outside stuff as well, which doesn't help with Logan Paul. But Bad Bunny seemingly buys so much into being part of the universe of the WWE and him being incorporated into the LWO, and then them bringing out Carlito for this crowd and Savio Vega.
Yeah.
And did you see the look on Bad Bunny's face when he was backstage and Savio shows up? He lit up like a kid on Christmas.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that entire match, so much credit to Damian Priest for carrying that match to what was a terrific story being told in that street fight. And hats off to Bad Bunny for buying into it so much and giving us just a compelling story in there. A phenomenal match.
Absolutely. And, you know, I don't know if Logan Paul was ever a wrestling fan or anything. I don't know. We know Bad Bunny is. And if it's something he's followed for the better part of his life and he knows the intricacy of storytelling and psychology of professional wrestling just by viewing it, and he could translate that to the ring in his matches, which he, based on what we've seen so far, he can. Yeah. Like Logan Paul is super athletic. He could do the moves.
Oh, and he does them spectacularly.
Yeah. You say do this, and probably in like the third try, he could do it.
Yeah.
But I think like we saw in the Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania, where there was something like the Roman Logan Paul match was good. I just, like, from the storytelling perspective, I kind of felt like they took the wrong route. But the Seth Rollins match against Logan Paul at WrestleMania just felt kind of hollow.
It did, yeah.
You know, I think it was more because there's something from a story perspective that's a little bit lacking.
Yeah, and it's funny, just to cut you off here real quick. Juxtapose the Seth Rollins Logan Paul match at WrestleMania, which did feel a bit hollow, and a match tonight with Amos, a guy who isn't nearly as athletic or does all the big moves that Logan Paul does. The match with Amos was a far more compelling match, in my opinion.
It was, yeah.
Because there was like a story with like actual substance being told there, and the Logan Paul one seemed to be kind of a gag. Yeah.
It's all about promoting Prime and stuff like that for Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And from the opening, as soon as Bad Bunny made his entrance, he came out through the tunnel at the entrance ramp, and he's about to make his entrance. He's like, oh, wait. Like his timing on something just as small as unveiling his shopping cart full of weapons was like an old pro. He's like, wait, I'm missing something. He takes the whatever was on there, piece of cloth, whatever, and unveils, this shopping cart full of garbage cans, kendo sticks, and whatnot. It's like he gets it from a fundamental storytelling level. Bad Bunny gets it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And it imbues his matches with so much more substance than someone like Logan Paul, who can do all the spectacular moves, but at times his matches just feel kind of hollow because it just feels like moves.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, look, I am thoroughly impressed by Logan Paul. The fact that he can do a frog splash off the top, maneuver and twist midair and hit it perfectly on the table. It was really good stuff, But yeah, this match tonight, especially, and you have to give, hats off to the crowd for just giving everything they had
from the opening bell,
and especially to this match. Like, dude, from the opening bell of the first match and all the way till the end. But this match right here, the Bad Bunny match, was special, and it really should have main evented. I'm kind of surprised that it didn't. But
I'm pretty surprised it didn't main event as well.
Cody and Brock, that's a big deal. But I think in the end, Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, that was the match that really was, for that crowd.
And especially how the match ended, where you had Carlito and Savio Vega and the rest of the LWO in the ring with Bad Bunny and Ray. That's an image of closing the show.
Oh, man, that's huge.
All of them in the ring holding up, with their arms raised in victory.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you close a pay-per-view. And especially now in hindsight with how the finish of Cody and Brock went down, whereas that kind of roll-up deal, not the most satisfying or conclusive.
Cody ran away.
Yeah, I know.
Afterwards, Cody ran away. Yeah.
One more thing about Bad Bunny, he's a hell of a seller.
Oh my God, yeah. Even that first punch that Damian Priest threw him in the corner, he just doubled over.
Yeah.
He is. I mean, he put his body on the line. They did some shit out there.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a legit street fight in the pro wrestling way. And it was good. And Priest selling like crazy. That leg towards the finish. Oh man. Yeah, that was terrific. So he hit that scary sliced bread. and oh boy. But beyond that, like everything he did was pretty spot on. It was really impressive.
It really was. From top to bottom, like every match had a story and was wildly enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
The opening bout between Bianca and Io Sky, I think initially we both thought it was going to be pretty hard to top because they gave it a ton of time. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Io working over Bianca's arm so she couldn't hit the KOD. Didn't ultimately work out for Io. We'll get more of that later. You mentioned Amos and Seth. I thought this was Amos's best match by far. It was probably the longest one he's had. It gave him an opportunity playing off Seth conducting the crowd, singing his theme, to interact with the crowd a little bit, which in a lot of his matches he doesn't get an opportunity to do. Usually it's a couple moves, choke bomb, end of match.
Yeah.
And talk about wrestling psychology. This is really one of Amos's first real opportunities, it felt like, to showcase what he can do from that perspective. And I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick reminder also for patrons of $5 up at patreon.com/Steven Larson, and for YouTube channel members as well. The question threads are available right now on the community tab on the YouTube, of course, and over on the Patreon. They are available right now. If you guys are watching live, you can drop your questions there for the end of the review. We'll answer some of them.
Yeah.
Before we get into the actual recap, though, would you like to pay some bills, Larson?
Let's do it.
All right. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to do this thing here. There it is. There we go. We're going to take a quick break because this episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, Larson.
What's that?
It can be pretty easy to get caught up in what everybody needs from you, whether it's work, family, or friends. You can spend so much time giving that you start feeling stretched too thin and burned out because you can't find the time to take a moment to think about what you need from yourself.
Yeah, I'd been there before when I was in my mid-20s. I'd lost that balance, was feeling pretty overwhelmed by life, and started dealing with severe anxiety. And it got to the point where I realized that I had to go to therapy. And it took me a few tries to find someone I felt comfortable talking to, but once I did, I learned the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety. So if you're looking to bring some balance back to your life, therapy can help you learn the tools you need so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
BetterHelp is entirely online and is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. And all you got to do to get started is fill out a brief online questionnaire. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. So let's get into it. It had a really cool video package. Actually, hold on. Before we get into it, Kiddo Hudson here is now a member on YouTube for 2 months. Says 2 months, friendos. Can I get a whoop whoop? I'll get a whoop whoop for Larson because you and 3 other friendos did in fact tie for first. And of course, patrons at patreon.com/Steven Larson, YouTube channel members. I got good news for you guys. This wasn't for the Big Red Championship currently held by the Enforcer, which, by the way, shout out to the Enforcer.
Love the Enforcer.
Love the Enforcer.
Much love the Enforcer.
But Double or Nothing, Night of Champions, NXT Battlegrounds. It's a packed weekend towards the end of May, and that's where the new champion will be crowned. Larson and the others, they only have a 1-point advantage.
1 point.
So
1 point.
if you want to throw your name in the hat, if you're not a YouTube channel member, and if you're not a patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, you can still do that and participate in the May predictions challenge. And look, 100 and whatever other people, 150 other people, we don't have the advantage either, but we still all have a pretty good shot. The 1 month I had the advantage along with 2 other friendos. Guess what? I didn't win. Didn't win.
Steve
didn't win
Steve
again.
Didn't win.
Yeah.
Steve didn't win.
So
we have some other channel members here. We got Richard A., James Rhea, Cody, and Manis Pradhan. So thank you, everybody. For everybody for their channel memberships tonight, and subs on Twitch. Thank you so much.
We've also had a couple new patrons over the past couple days. Ryan Best, Justin Sider. Good name, Justin. Good name. Brandon. Wow. I got to start reading these first.
Yeah.
Brandon Sins, Blake Owens, Davey B. 1978, Clown 13420, and John DeLeon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. So yes, the show kicked off with a really well done video package narrated by Bad Bunny. And then the first match of the night was Bianca Belair defending the Raw Women's Championship against Io Sky, as mentioned earlier. Fantastic bout. Io working over Bianca's arm early and often, trying to make it so Bianca couldn't do the KOD. At one point, Bianca was going for a press slam, and she couldn't use the arm that Io was working, and so she kind of instead of hitting the press slam, she kind of just like drop Io.
The crowd was super hot for this match, and
Yeah.
specifically Io Sky. They were firmly behind Io. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of reception she gets from the general WWE fan base now that she's probably going to end up being a solo act.
Yes.
Because let's talk about this finish. So, of course, towards the finish, Damage Control comes down, and they do their darndest. A couple of distractions here and there. But it looked like Io had Bianca almost beat. She had her down. She was climbing up to the top to hit the moonsault. And Bayley, again, trying to help, grabbed Bayley's braid and just sort of held it down to make sure that she stays
Bianca's
she's at.
Bianca's braid.
I'm sorry, Bianca's braid. To stay where she's at. And the ref saw it. And so Io's up there like, what is happening right now? I'm ready to hit my moonsault. The ref comes over, tells Bayley to let go and to stop, the shenanigans. And that gave enough time for Bianca to get out of the way of the moonsault. And then she hit a KOD very shortly after and got the win. So it does look like Damage Control, though they're all together on heading to SmackDown. It seems like they're probably going to be busting at the seams, man.
Yeah, a couple people here in chat are mentioning that as Dakota and Bayley were making their way out towards the ring, that Dakota was like telling Bayley, "Let's not go out. Let's not go to the ringside area."
I noticed that in chat. I didn't notice it on the pay-per-view. I'll have to go back and watch. That's kind of awesome right there, if that's the truth. So it seems like that's definitely the direction they're headed, with Dakota sort of maybe stuck in the middle here. It's going to be interesting to see how this all goes down. Again, Bayley, doesn't matter who Bayley works with, those feuds are always amazing. The matches are always great.
Yep.
That's going to elevate Io so much. I'm telling you, man, the women, they need mid-card titles, because Bianca and Rhea, they're not letting go of their titles anytime soon.
Nope, not anytime soon. So next, we're backstage. Bad Bunny is about to put his shoes on, I think, and Rey Mysterio walks in. So they talk for a bit, and then Savio Vega makes his way into Bad Bunny's locker room, and he hands Bad Bunny a kendo stick decorated with the Puerto Rican flag on it. And so they're chatting back and forth, and then they do kind of a recap of draft rosters. You got the Raw roster, SmackDown roster. They promote the Night of Champions, the World Heavyweight Championship tournament that's starting on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the next bout, which is Seth Rollins versus Omos.
And yeah, dude, like you said, I don't think there's any doubt this is Omos's best match. It's not surprising that Seth Rollins is the guy to, lead him to this kind of match. It was long. Omos got the jump on Seth early and was just ripping him to shreds. This was just really, really terrific stuff. Omos kicked out of, there was 2 successive stomps that Omos kicked out of.
Yeah.
And that was, that's pretty big stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, most people don't kick out of a stomp, much less 2 of them.
Right.
Before that, though, Seth escaped, Omos's finisher. Tries to get Omos down, put him in a sleeper. Eventually, though, Omos reverses that to a sidewalk slam. MVP gets on the apron and throws his cane into the ring. Mm-hmm. Well, Seth hits Omos with a stomp, the first stomp, and that cane goes flying right back out of the ring. Mm-hmm. He hits another stomp. Super kicks MVP off the apron, hits another stomp, covers, gets a 2. So Seth is like, what do I got to do?
Yeah, what's up with that?
What do I got to do? So he goes to the top rope as Omos is getting to his feet. Goes to the top rope, hits a stomp off there to get the win.
Super stomp. Yeah.
Yeah. It took 3 stomps, and including a top rope one, to beat Omos. It's a pretty well protected loss for Omos.
No, absolutely it was. Omos needs a feud. What's like a guy that Omos can feud with next? That's on. Well, he's free agent brand, so he can go wherever he wants.
It's a bummer they didn't do something comparable that they did with Braun and Roman with Braun and Omos.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You got 2 huge guys that could destroy stuff and do cool stuff destroying stuff. You can get several months out of that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And seeing Amos, tease the crowd, trying to get them to, mocking them singing Seth's song.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think who's a guy that Amos could feud with now that Amos could actually win in the end, because he needs a couple of like relatively high profile feuds. It's a great name. John Fear and Loathing here brings up Sheamus. Yeah. That's a great name. Like Sheamus, he can lose and he'll be just fine. That's a really good name. But there needs to be a couple of higher profile ones than Amos, because Amos, he always has to lose like the big ones, but maybe not. Maybe he can actually have a couple feuds. Like he's not going to beat Gunther. He's not going to beat Roman. He's not going to beat, obviously here's Seth, but or Cody or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Give him somebody. Mr. Sinister has a Riddle. Riddle, there you go. He could beat Riddle in the end. Riddle's a depth guy. Everybody,
depth guy, totally a depth guy. I mean, like Braun could take losses.
Mm-hmm. That's totally true. Braun's a tag team guy right now.
I know, and they've done that before, and it was like one match, maybe it was two matches. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't a protracted.
Drew McIntyre's a good name.
Yeah. Amos needs some high profile wins because it feels like it's all starting to come together for him,
And if he's on the free agent brand, give him like 3 good high profile feuds, and then you could job him out to Roman, and he still looks pretty good,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, anyways, after that, we get a recap of the press conference. There was some really good stuff in the press conference. You have to love Bad Bunny coming in, and because of Bad Bunny, he just sort of does whatever he wants. He curses in Spanish and shit like that.
Yeah, he wears a jacket on SmackDown with the old WWF scratch logo
that they have to friggin' like blur out
now,
on.
Yeah.
So anyways, after that we had the U.S. title triple threat match. Bobby Lashley.
This is probably the least interesting match of the night. It was one of the shortest, if not the shortest.
Might have been the shortest.
And so I'd somehow come across, this was a house show match they were doing on the European tour.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd read what the finish of those matches were. I was like, okay. Sometimes, they practice the matches out on the road before they do them for shows. I don't know about pay-per-views, but for shows. And then this finish went exactly like those matches did.
Somebody in our chat, and I'm sorry I forget who it is, but somebody in our chat said the same thing happened. They went to a house show and saw like AJ versus Kevin Owens or something like that a while ago when they were feuding, and they did the exact same finish at the pay-per-view. This isn't terribly shocking. I remember Vader complained about in a shoot interview his feud with Shawn Michaels going to SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, the problem with this match was everybody saw us on the house show circuit doing the exact same match with me getting my ass kicked by Shawn Michaels, so we got to SummerSlam. I don't really think that was the problem with that particular match, but yeah, apparently this is something that they do quite a bit. But I just appreciate that you had said this on the show, and it was the exact finish that you had heard about that they did for this match. And it was meant to protect everybody, but doesn't really do anything for anybody.
No, I know. Bronson Reed had a couple of good spots here. So at one point, he super kicks Lashley the outside, and then he hits so he's on the apron, and he kind of does almost like a springboard Vader bomb off the apron onto Lashley on the floor.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
it was nuts, and it was awesome.
It was cool. Yeah, it was really
cool. So he puts Lashley back in the ring. He goes up looking for a tsunami. Theory sweeps out his leg, so Reed gets crotched over the top turnbuckle. So the Theory is looking for an A-Tow down on Lashley, but Lashley reverses that to a hurt lock. So Theory starts to fade, but then he gets up and escapes that. Reed hits a tsunami on Lashley to get a 2 count. But Theory breaks it up, and all 3 men are down. So Theory gets up, hits Reed with an elbow and a rolling blockbuster. He lifts Reed up looking for an A-Tow down, but instead Reed fights that off, hits like a ripcord power slam. So Reed looks for a moonsault, misses. Lashley hits him with a spear. Theory dumps Lashley out of the ring and covers Reed to get the win.
Yeah. I mean, it's a new era starting on Monday, seemingly the Lashley Reed thing. Although, would it shock you at all if, SmackDown comes around, or even Raw tomorrow, and they're like, Lashley versus Reed one last time? Wait, we got to do this. We have to have one.
No, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
These guys, we'll probably get that.
I mean, the SmackDown competitors are in the Raw World Championship tournament.
That's a good point.
So We're going to see probably more so after Night of Champions how, hard this roster split's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I don't know what happens. I mean, either they're going to keep on rolling with Theory as the U.S. champion, or they're going to understand this guy he gets no reaction. Nobody cares. Like if you look at how many people got big reactions, people that, from EO Sky, all the way down the card, everybody was getting reactions because that crowd was hot to be there. Austin Theory didn't really get much of a reaction.
No, it was crickets.
Mm-hmm. It really was. Like everybody was just sort of filming him like, oh yeah, this is what we're going to do. So yeah, that title needs to come off Austin Theory and put it on a Lashley or an AJ Styles or somebody who can re-elevate it because it's nowhere right now.
I know.
Do what Gunther's doing with the Intercontinental Championship. Make something of the title.
I know. Exactly. And I don't know if Theory as the character of Austin Theory exists right now. It's not that guy.
Nope. He's not him.
He's not that guy. Speaking of SmackDown, next we had the SmackDown Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley against Zelina Vega. Hats off to Judgment Day for having coordinated ring gear tonight.
Ooh, Rhea wore white for the first time I can remember since her WrestleMania a couple of years ago. She wore white against Charlotte. Yeah. But, oh, man, it looked fantastic. And Zelina Vega coming out as the Puerto Rican flag.
It was just awesome.
And even better was her introduction in the ring, that crowd, a standing ovation, and the emotion on her face was palpable. And those are the moments in wrestling that I absolutely live for. I love that shit because it's real, it's genuine, and this is probably going to be, we saw probably the moment in her career that she will always remember as the top moment. I don't know how it gets better than this,
Exactly. Yeah, and the emotion was palpable. Unfortunately for Zelina, Rhea came out on top here. Although Zelina had a really good showing. So at one point, she's in the corner. Rhea charges her. Zelina gets out of the way. Rhea gets posted on the ring post. And then Zelina hits some forearms and then some clotheslines. Rhea responds with a headbutt, looking for a riptide, but then Zelina counters with a DDT like she did a couple weeks back. Gets a 2 count there. So then Zelina has Rhea against the ropes. She's looking for a 619. She does hit the 619, and then she hits a Meteora to get a 2 count. So then they're trading shots back and forth. And then Rhea hits Zelina with a kick, and then this picks her up with a devastating riptide.
Yeah.
To get the win.
Yeah, it was about a 7 minute, making about 7 minutes.
About 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, we were timing it. That's why you know that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't let him go like 10. Like usually, like matches they have it's like, oh, are they going to give him 7? Are they going to give him 10? There's like a set time limit for like most matches, like internally.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't let this go a little bit further because Rhea just sort of like ended this match with a punctuation, like, oh my gosh, which I think was probably the point of it because number one, Rhea was doing her character work is so unbelievably good these days. It is nuts. Her relationship with the crowd is just off the charts good. And so I think Zelina had her moment. She had her run here with this, and hopefully this will elevate her even more. But yeah, no, Rhea's just too dominant, man. Like, it was believable for her to just end this here. Riptide. Yeah. Tired of messing with you.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Next, we had the longest match of the evening, if Wikipedia's believe, 25 minutes. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. I mean,
good Lord.
What can you say?
Just absolutely, just so much fun. Just a brilliant match. I wonder if maybe the reason it didn't go on last was because you can't really predict if something's going to be amazing or if it's going to like fall apart when there's such an X factor like a Bad Bunny who it's like, yeah, we know he's prepared. We know obviously the guy can handle pressure because he performs in front of hundreds of thousands of people at a time or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, to know that it was going to be this good, maybe they weren't able to predict just what kind of match this was going to be. But my God, it was scripted out perfectly.
It really was. And if nothing else, for that moment at the end.
Yeah, I don't get
it's
it,
worth
man.
main evading for
I'm just
everybody in the ring
spitballing,
at
to
the
be
end.
honest with you.
Yeah. This match went all over the place. There was an awesome Falcon Arrow spot that Priest hits of, I don't know, it was they climbed up atop some platform, and Priest hits Bad Bunny with a Falcon Arrow off that through some tables. Eventually, Judgment Day makes their way down to ringside. They take out Bad Bunny. Rey Mysterio runs down and takes out Dom and Finn. And then Carlito runs down to help take out Judgment Day. Hits a back.
Carlito.
Yeah, he's massive. He had a backstabber on Finn. He takes a bite of apple, eventually spits that in Dom's face. And so Dom and Finn eventually try to escape up the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Savio Vega beats them there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got Finn and Dom stuck between Carlito and Rey down by the ring, and then Savio Vega up by the entrance ramp. And so then Savio waves, the rest of the LWO comes out. They beat down Finn and Dom.
Dom tries to get out from over the... He tries to escape to the crowd. But he doesn't. He's not able to.
No. So back in the ring, Bad Bunny's watching all that. Priest, so Bad Bunny was like the latter third of the match. Bad Bunny was really working over Damian Priest's leg. Damian Priest doing an awesome job selling that leg.
Oh, big time.
It was fantastic. And so Bad Bunny puts him into figure 4. Priest can't reverse the pressure, so he grabs Bad Bunny by the throat, looks for a choke slam. Bad Bunny reverses that to a roll, gets 2. And then there's a chair set up in the corner. Bad Bunny sends Priest into that. Bad Bunny follows with sliced bread, gets another 2 count, and then Bad Bunny just starts taking a chair to Damian Priest with a bunch of chair shots, and then hits a destroyer to get the win.
Yeah.
Wildly fun bout.
Super fun. Finn Balor tweeted out, "Me and Savio have heat." All in caps. Heat. Oh, I love Finn Balor.
And then
Nobody's
afterwards,
having more fun than Finn Balor.
Oh, I know. He's having an absolute blast. So afterwards, you got Bad Bunny, you got Rey, you got the entire LWO plus Carlito and Savio Vega in the ring posing. I mean, that's such a great way to end the show.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. I love this question here. Coach John Pliskin says, in a risk at sounding corny, did the LWO just become the coolest faction in wrestling? I kind of feel like they are. That shirt is going to sell historical numbers. Like, I don't know if it's going to do Austin 316 numbers, but like Bad Bunny wearing that shirt and how much they're going to be pushing it. Oh my God. Like if you incorporate all the different LWO logos they've had, like you know,
apparently even before SmackDown on Friday, when Bad Bunny put it on, it was already tops on the merch selling charts for WWE. But after Bad Bunny starts wearing that LWO shirt, it's going to sell.
In terms of
tons.
the modern, whatever the modern record is, because I don't think anything's ever going to beat like either Austin or the NWO. Because those still sell probably just ungodly, especially the NWO ones. They sell ungodly.
Although they changed, I don't know if you saw the thing, like if you buy them now from WWE Shop.
The worst.
They have that little WWE logo underneath the NWO logo.
That is the worst idea. That is the stupidest thing.
I know.
That ruins it, man. You get that, you get a Sharpie or some shit.
Just go and try to scratch it off.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's terrible. It's lame. Next, we got a 6-man.
I lost him. Well, I'll see if I get him back. Whoop-ha. All right, I'll take over for you. We get a 6-man tag match. The Bloodline
Tag match. You got the Bloodline. Usos. What? I'm here.
Yeah, you're back. Now you're back.
I'm back.
There you go. The Bloodline versus Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Matt Riddle. More intrigue for the Bloodline. This was interesting. We saw this going 2 ways. From your point of view, Solo Sikoa was going to do everything himself because the Usos are a mess. That's how it ended up playing out. I thought the Usos were going to fuck up so much that they would lose the match, and hence I was wrong. But no, all the drama between the Bloodline here was just really, really good stuff. And I think also you wanting it to go your way, me wanting to go my way, added a little bit more drama between you and I here towards the finish. But it was a really compelling finish.
It was a slow burner of a match because you come out of the Bad Bunny Damian Priest match, which was tons of fun.
Yeah.
And to kind of go back into a standard pro wrestling match with headlocks and stuff like that. once the match really got going and the intrigue really started to build, it did pick up quite a bit. But
It
from
really did, yeah.
opening bell, pretty much, the Usos were like, you got Jimmy, who's just still kind of like, hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that I'm still in Bloodline. You know, Jay has his suspicions about what's going on, but, you know, he's there with his brother. He's looking out for his brother. And you got Solo, who's got no patience for any BS.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the dynamic throughout. You know, a lot of instances where Solo's just tagging himself in. Anyways, we go down towards the finish. So Jay has Sammy set up in the corner. So he's about to charge either for a haluva kick, hip attack, something. Solo tags himself in. Jay is not happy about it. So as soon as Solo gets in the ring and Jay gets on the apron, Jay tags himself back in. Solo's pissed. So then he gets on the apron. As soon as he gets on the apron, Sammy charges looking for a haluva kick on Jay. Jay gets out of the way, so Solo eats it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, shortly thereafter, Sammy hits a haluva kick on Jay. Solo gets in there to break up that pinfall. And then the match starts to break down. Solo hits Riddle Riddle hits him with the knee. Jimmy sends Riddle out. He takes a stunner from Owens. Solo hits the spike on KO, and then he senses someone behind him. He sticks his hands out. Solo sticks his hand out and grabs whoever that was by the throat. Well, it's Jay. He's got his thumb out ready to hit the spike on him. But once he recognizes it's Jay, he doesn't let go immediately.
No, he really wants to do that shit.
He's looking at his thumb and looking at Jay, and
he's like,
he wants to do it.
This feels right now.
Yeah. So then Sammy comes in and kind of breaks that up. Jay hits Sammy with a super kick, goes to the top, looks for a splash. Sammy gets his knees up, rolls up Jay to get 2 count. Riddle tags in, hits a bunch of stuff on Jay. Jay counters with the super kick, but kind of falls back into his own corner. Solo tags in, and then Riddle hits the bro Derek on Jay. Solo picks up Riddle, spike. 1, 2, 3.
So Matt Riddle's officially a depth guy now.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because I was like, dude, there's no way Riddle's gonna take another pin from Solo.
Oh yeah, there is. He's gonna take a lot more pins.
It happened, and I think that's gonna continue to happen. Yeah, yes. I guess so. So.
So afterwards, Jimmy's like, "Yeah, we won. Cool." Yeah. And Jay's like, "I don't like this at all. The body language isn't good between all three of them."
Nah, man.
And I mean, they eventually, do the ones thing but yeah, it's.
Tribal Chief is not going to be. Hopefully, he was watching the Lakers game instead. And Heyman's going to keep this. But Heyman seems to hate the Usos anyways. He's like, Tribal Chief, look at what they're doing to your bloodline. Making us look like fools.
Yeah.
Anyways. After that, we had our main event. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Cody draped in, the Puerto Rican. He had a nice Puerto Rican flag thing on his back. And, it looked great. But yeah, no, Cody jumped Brock Lesnar before the bell and like threw the tabletop at him.
Bashed him with the ring steps.
Bashed him with the ring steps 3 times. Yeah, steps into Brock's face 3 times. By the way, shout out to Chris Garrix for the notes today.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you.
Engaging with the friendos. So the bell rings finally. Cody goes after Brock, but of course Brock, comes to a bit, carries Cody across the ring. But Cody's able to hit a disaster kick, another one, goes for another one, but we get our German suplex moment. German suplex, and a couple more. And then on one of them, it was probably the last one, Cody grabs the padding on the turnbuckle, on the top turnbuckle in the corner, and as he gets German suplex, it goes flying. Well, Brock, when he hits it, he looks back at the turnbuckle's like, oh, okay, turnbuckle. Let's see what I can do with that. But unfortunately for Brock, he goes for Cody in the corner a little bit later, and he ends up eating, because Cody gets out of the way, he ends up eating the turnbuckle, and he goes into it, and it's pretty smooth. He gets it, and he rams his head into it, and just busts himself open with the turnbuckle. And it's very immediate. Controlled, It seemed controlled. That's a good word to put it.
Because he was running, grabs the rope and guides his head, and as he's making contact with the turnbuckle, he kind of lifts his head up a little bit. So it's like the turnbuckle catches his skin.
Yeah.
And
the idea isn't that he did it on purpose. The idea is that, he did it incidentally, but the way Brock actually did it was very impressive because it seemed really smooth.
Yeah.
And that blood came immediately and with copiously with much volume. Yeah.
Yes, with much volume. So then Cody goes on a run. Cody Cutter, disaster kicks, starts punching in the bloody wound, and they're not showing Brock because they can't, because they don't show blood anymore, and Brock's head is just pouring blood.
It's like the Brock Lesnar version of side boob. It's like they don't show him from like the front, but they have to show what's going on, so they're getting all the side angles. But you could see there's a lot of blood, and
because
every once in a while,
it's all on Cody's side, on his arms,
right.
That's everywhere. And Cody's, it's on his chest, and Cody's rubbing it, And
every once in a while, you'll catch a front view of them because you have to, because they're filming wrestling, and it's very Mox. It's very Mox.
It's pouring out. So Cody hits another Cody Cutter. A couple crossroads. Brock kicks out. So Cody's looking for the third Cody Cutter. Well, Brock picks him up, F5. Cody kicks out of the F5. So they're trading punches, and then Brock locks on a Kimura. And Cody's trying to struggle to get to the ropes. He's like, I'm going to roll him up, and just rolls him up. And then that's how it ended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Cody like bolts out of there.
Yeah.
So like, I got my win.
Yeah, because Brock's pissed.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know how this could play out if Brock is going to be around a while. I mean, it's a Saudi show. That's always a huge paycheck for Brock Lesnar. So I have no doubt that he's going to do that. And it wouldn't shock me to see if it's Cody. So, unless they wheel Goldberg back or something.
Yeah. If they do Night of Champions, a rematch, Brock wins that. And I guess they could do the third match at Money in the Bank then. But that would mean Cody wouldn't be in the Money in the Bank match.
Which probably isn't the worst thing in the world,
Yeah. Or Brock's in the tournament for the title.
No, that could be.
And with Cody, and Cody's in it, and then Brock beats Cody in the first round.
That could be.
Actually, it's a triple. In one of the triple threat matches.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting it's a triple threat.
Two triple threats.
Threats.
Then it'd be Brock versus Seth.
4 triple threats. Yeah.
And then Cody could cost Brock that match. Mm-hmm. Seth wins.
Mm-hmm. Unless Cody enters on the Raw side, Brock enters on the SmackDown side because he's free agent brand, and they meet in the finals, and Brock wins the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
There you go. Oh, man, there's so many great possibilities. My favorite is still Dom wins.
Oh, I thought your favorite was Cody beats Roman for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Brother, I can't wrap my head around the implications for that one. I don't even want to think about what the internet wrestling community would say about about Cody beating Roman, but for the World Heavyweight Championship. Is it a consolation prize? No. Is it? Is it a consolation? I don't know what it is.
It kind of would be.
It's a consolation prize, but it's not because it's not the titles, but it's Roman. Nobody would know what to say, man.
No, I know. He beat Roman to win the title, not the title he wants.
Yeah. People have a hard enough time figuring out, why are they putting SmackDown in this thing? I don't know. To put Solo in the fucking finals.
Well, I kind of want to be Cody and Roman for the finals just for the chaos that would ensue.
Oh, my God. You just want to see the world burn, man.
No, I just want to see the chaos that would ensue from that scenario. That's
it. Anyways, we got questions on the Patreon and on the YouTube. We take the patrons and the YouTube channel members, and they're the ones who get to ask the questions around here. Here we go. Backlash.
Got a question here from Alex Foster. Says, I'm the one who thinks Solo might take Heyman with him after the Bloodline story ends. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting. I think that'd be fitting because I love when Solo talks. It's just really rare. He's a man of few words, and Paul Heyman obviously isn't. Let's see. I already sort of answered this one from Roy Costin about us getting going in Raw tattoos. You're a no, I'm a maybe. Definitely not matching, though. I'd be like, what are you getting? You're like, I'm getting the Friendo Club logo. Okay, I'll get something else. I'll get Big Red. Lucas Lopez says, given the success of international PLEs. Again, this is not an international one, but I get why people say that. Which country would you like to see hosting an event in the near future? So what's a market that's been starved for WWE?
Like a lot.
It's a big world. It's a big world.
Yes.
I'd like to see a premium live event from Mexico.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, W did that one in Japan.
Yeah.
Years ago.
That was ages ago, yeah.
And they haven't done another one from there since, I don't think. So there's two. They did, the NXT had one. whereas Nakamura and Joe, and there was the one Beast in the East. Thank you, Zondo. That was the other one.
Yeah.
But it's been a number of years, I think, since they've had a premium live event or pay-per-view, whatever.
Yeah.
From Japan. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Timor here says, how much different do you think Damian Priest's career would have been if he accepted that donut from Larson? Main event.
The butterfly effect, yeah, man.
Yeah.
He would have beat Roman by now.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Dave Holy Moly says, if you were picking an upset tonight, what match would it be? If there would have been an upset tonight, I would have liked to have seen Io Sky win because that crowd was like oddly and firmly behind her. Or Bobby Lashley winning the U.S. title, which I don't know if that's really an upset, but yeah. Agreed.
Blake Whitehouse here says, does Zelina have the most underrated ring gear game? Yeah. She's got consistently great gear. Yeah.
Her stuff is always good. Yeah. Adam Bull says, again, he says, why are international crowds so much better than North American crowds? It is actually an American crowd, but it's a market that's been starved, and that's why.
Yes.
Because they haven't had it.
Mayor Planet Houston, if you guys had found the courage to interview Brock, what would you have asked him?
Don't hurt me.
Well, that's the statement, not a question. Will you please not hurt me?
Will you please not hurt me, sir? Will you, yeah.
Then you're putting the thought in his head that of hurting you, and he's going to hurt you.
Yeah, he's going to hurt me. Dude, I don't know. You could ask him something along the lines of, back in his first run, when he was doing silly things like taunting Eddie Guerrero with the mariachi music, he seemed to be having a lot of fun, whether or not it's appropriate or not. He seemed to be having fun with his character back then, and especially when we were given the opportunity to interview him, he didn't seem like he was having that much fun.
No.
And so, I don't know, I'd been like, we're ever going to get that Brock again? The guy who seemed like he was having a fun time.
But then we did. We got Cowboy Brock.
But now we did, yeah. Maybe that would have made him thought, yeah, I want to be a cowboy. Okay.
Maybe
we would have got Cowboy Brock before Cowboy Brock.
Could be. Jack Napier has a question. Says, if they do create women's mid-card titles, what do you think the names would be, or would they just be the women's version of the mid-card titles? We actually answered this on yesterday's show, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I get why people ask this question, and we get this question a lot.
Yeah.
Just due to the universe, the United States and the Intercontinental. I honestly kind of don't care what it's called. Like, they can call it anything, not anything, but they can call it any number of things, and it's like, it's fine. It's just something else, for an Io Sky or an Asuka to hold high and be like, hey, something that can change hands maybe a little bit more, because they do seem to present the world titles, the SmackDown and Raw women's titles, as a bit more precious. They like Bianca just beat the record for the modern, reign.
Yeah.
Rhea probably will have that title for a long time.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't really care.
Yeah, I think so. And then I got one here from Bryce. In kayfabe, what is the reason the house shows are never acknowledged? Seems it is only Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and PLE matches that are ever discussed. Yeah, I don't know why they don't recognize. I guess maybe if you recognize house show history on TV, then can get a little unwieldy. And also house shows, it's not a whole, it's usually just matches.
Well, they just practice for the shit.
Yeah, so if they acknowledge that, you're like, oh, we're getting a pay-per-view match here like a month before it actually happens.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like the actual match.
Yeah. Nick says, what NXT call-up from this draft gets a title first?
Pretty deadly.
I'm going to say Grayson Waller. Zyshawn Moore has one. This is the last one here. It says, after Bad Bunny's great performance tonight and the celebration of the end, do you think the LWO will be elevated going forward? I hope so, because the one weak thing about the LWO is that now that they're going to continue on, it's still Rey Mysterio. And now I guess Zelina Vega, because she had the big singles match. But Legado, the rest of Legado, they've just sort of been like, they're relegated now to just, helpers. And
they need to win.
They need to not do that, and they need to win, and they need to show some personality. I don't think Santos Escobar's thing is being a good guy, and maybe it can be, but he's got to be just show more of his personality, I guess.
Yeah.
He's a fucking phenomenal wrestler.
He is.
Yeah.
He really is.
Anyways, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. All the new faces here, some of you might not know, we're a new podcast. We've only been doing this for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And we appreciate just how much of an audience we've been able to build in that short period of time. So if it's not too much trouble, if you're watching this on YouTube, either live or on demand, do us a favor and hit that thumbs up. From what we understand, that's the thing here is thumbs up.
We're learning as we go.
We took YouTube classes and watched tutorials, and they say ask for a thumbs up, and also to hit the subscribe button, I think it is, and there's like a bell next to it, like a notify bell.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to notify you.
Right, exactly. So if you can do that, that would be awesome. We'd appreciate it. If you're listening to us on a podcast application, if you could leave us a rating, a review, or some sort of comment where you type it.
Yeah,
that would be helpful as well with words.
Or if you have a voice to what they call it, we talk into your phone
speech to text.
That's what it is. I didn't know what it's called. If you have one of those things, you'd leave a comment with that. That'd be cool too.
Hey, who'd have thought, man? Just a month ago, we were just a couple of civil servants pushing pencils.
I was analyzing risk. Now look what I'm doing.
Who'd have thought where we'd be here? Not me.
Not me.
That's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.